Go outside right now and look at your tomato plants. If they're pale instead of deep green, if the leaves curl slightly at the edges, if the stems are thin where they should be thick, if the flowers are dropping before they set fruit, your plants aren't sick, they aren't unlucky. They're asking you for something specific, something they haven't been getting. And the thing they're asking for costs almost nothing. It's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. I want to show you a recipe today, a homemade mix that experienced gardeners have been using for generations. It produces tomato plants so vigorous, so dark green, so loaded with fruit, that neighbors stop and ask what fertilizer was used. And when they hear the answer, they don't believe it. But before I give you the recipe, I need to tell you something. This changes the way you'll think about tomato feeding forever. Because if you don't understand this one thing, you can pour the best ingredients in the world onto your plants, and you'll still wonder why the results disappoint. I want to mention the final ingredient in this mix before we begin, because it's the one that surprises people most. It's something almost every household throws away without a second thought. It costs nothing, and it does something for struggling tomato plants that no commercial product I've ever tested manages to replicate at the same speed. I'll tell you exactly what it is and exactly why it works at the end. Stay with me.
Here's the thing most gardeners have backwards. When a tomato plant looks hungry, pale, slow, struggling, the instinct is to feed the plant. Pour something onto the roots. Give it a dose of whatever's in the bag. And sometimes the plant responds, briefly. Then it slides back into the same pale, struggling state a few weeks later. This is because the plant isn't the problem, the soil is.
Beneath every thriving tomato plant, there's a living ecosystem, billions of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and other microorganisms. Most gardeners never think about them. They can't see them. These organisms aren't passengers. They're the entire feeding system of the plant. They break down organic matter. They release nutrients in a form roots can actually absorb. They produce compounds that protect roots from disease. They build the soil structure that holds moisture and air in exactly the right balance. Without them, plant roots sit in soil full of nutrients they can't access, like a person locked outside a fully stocked house.
When you buy a bag of synthetic plant food and pour it on your tomatoes, here's what actually happens. The plant gulps the available nitrogen. It puts on fast, soft, leafy growth that looks impressive for a few weeks. But the synthetic fertilizer bypasses the soil biology entirely. It doesn't feed the ecosystem. Over seasons of use, it actually suppresses it. The soil gets progressively more dependent, less alive, less capable of feeding your plants on its own, and so you need more product next season, and the season after that. The homemade mix I'm about to give you works on a completely different principle. It doesn't feed the plant directly. It feeds the soil biology. It wakes up what's already there. It gives it the energy to do what it was made to do. Release the nutrients already sitting in your soil. Protect your roots. Build the structure that makes your tomato plants do what they're supposed to do. Once you see the difference this makes, you won't garden the old way again. The mix makes 1 gallon. This is enough for 4 to 6 established tomato plants. You need 5 things.
The first is liquid seaweed extract, 2 tablespoons. This is the foundation of the entire mix. I want to tell you why. It's doing something no other ingredient on this list does. Seaweed extract contains natural plant hormones, specifically cytokinins and auxins. These regulate how tomato plants respond to stress. Cytokinins directly delay blossom drop. This is what takes flowers off your plant before they ever set fruit. They signal the plant that conditions are adequate for reproduction, even when heat or inconsistent watering is pushing the plant toward flower abortion. This is why you'll notice a change within 1 to 2 weeks of regular seaweed application. Flowers stop falling, they start holding. It also contains alginic acid. When it reaches the soil, it improves its water retention capacity at a microscopic structural level. Soil fed regularly with seaweed extract holds moisture measurably longer between waterings.
Seaweed extract is available from most garden centers or online. Use any brand of liquid concentrate, 2 tablespoons per gallon, every 2 weeks through the growing season.
The second ingredient is Epsom salts, 1 tablespoon. Magnesium is the central atom of every chlorophyll molecule in every leaf on your tomato plant. Without adequate magnesium, the plant can't produce the deep green color that signals peak photosynthetic activity. The pale, slightly yellowish green of a struggling tomato plant is almost always, at least in part, magnesium deficiency. The plant is producing less chlorophyll than it should, which means it's producing less energy than it needs for vigorous growth and fruit development. In freely draining soil, in containers, and in soils that have been heavily watered through the season, magnesium leaches out. It happens faster than most gardeners realize.
A tablespoon of Epsom salts dissolved in warm water before adding it to the mix delivers magnesium. It delivers it in a form the roots absorb within hours, unlike slow-release granular amendments. Dissolved Epsom salts are immediately plant available. You'll see the leaf color deepen within 5 to 7 days of the first application. 1 tablespoon per gallon, dissolved in a small amount of warm water first, before adding to the mix.
The free ingredient everyone throws away.
The third ingredient is unsulfured blackstrap molasses, 1 tablespoon. Here's where the mix crosses from plant feeding into soil feeding, and here's why that distinction matters. Blackstrap molasses is a carbon source. Specifically, it's a rapidly available carbon that soil bacteria consume with measurable efficiency. When molasses reaches the soil, bacterial populations in the treated area can increase by a factor of 10 within 24 to 48 hours. These bacteria are the organisms responsible for breaking down organic matter and releasing nutrients in plant-available form. They're the feeding workforce of your garden. More of them means faster nutrient release, better soil structure, and improved disease suppression at the root level.
Molasses also contains iron, potassium, calcium, and magnesium in small but meaningful amounts. This is the mineral profile that makes it substantially more valuable as a soil amendment than plain sugar. Sugar provides the carbon energy, but none of the minerals. Use unsulfured blackstrap molasses specifically. Sulfured molasses contains sulfur dioxide as a preservative. Sulfur dioxide is antimicrobial. That's the opposite of what we're trying to achieve. Unsulfured blackstrap is widely available at health food stores and online, 1 tablespoon per gallon.
The fourth ingredient is apple cider vinegar, raw and unfiltered with the mother. 1 teaspoon only, not more. Raw apple cider vinegar with the mother contains live cultures, Acidobacter bacteria. The acidic environment they create is specifically valuable for tomato plants for 2 reasons. First, tomatoes prefer a slightly acidic soil pH, between 6 and 6.5. In many American gardens, particularly in the Midwest and East where soils tend alkaline, the pH of the soil around tomato plants drifts higher over time. This locks out phosphorus, iron, and manganese, nutrients that are present in the soil but inaccessible to roots because the pH is wrong. The mild acidification from apple cider vinegar in the irrigation water, used consistently over time, helps maintain the pH range in which these nutrients remain available. Second, the live bacteria in raw apple cider vinegar contribute directly to the soil ecosystem. They add to the bacterial diversity that makes the soil more biologically active and more capable of supporting vigorous plant growth.
1 teaspoon per gallon. Exactly 1 teaspoon. More than this shifts the pH too far in the acidic direction. It begins to damage the soil biology you're trying to build. This is the ingredient where more is definitively not better. And now, the fifth ingredient. The one I mentioned at the beginning. The one almost every household throws away. The one experienced gardeners rely on.
That ingredient is the cooled water from boiling or steaming vegetables. When vegetables are cooked in water, they release a significant proportion of their mineral content directly into the cooking liquid. Potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, all the minerals that make vegetables nutritious are water-soluble. They leach into the water as the vegetables are heated. The resulting liquid is, in precise chemical terms, a multi-mineral solution. It's immediately plant-available the moment it contacts soil. It doesn't need to be broken down, it doesn't need to be processed by soil bacteria, the roots absorb it directly. Research into vegetable cooking water as a plant amendment has consistently shown results. Plants watered with it grow faster. They display richer color. They produce more flowers and fruit than plants watered with plain water, even when no other fertilizer is applied. The effect is most pronounced with the cooking water from mineral-dense vegetables. Broccoli, spinach, kale, asparagus, and potato cooking water are particularly rich.
The single non-negotiable rule. The water must be completely unsalted, and it must be cooled to room temperature before it touches any plant. Salt in any concentration damages plant roots. It cancels every benefit the minerals provide. Hot water causes immediate cellular damage to roots on contact. Unsalted and cooled only. I'll say it again. Unsalted and cooled only. Cool. Unsalted vegetable cooking water added to this mix is free. It's inexhaustible, and it's genuinely one of the most mineral-complete additions available to any home gardener.
Use half a cup per gallon of mix. Start saving it from today. Keep a jar beside the stove. Every time vegetables are boiled or steamed without salt, the water goes into the jar, and the jar feeds your tomatoes.
Now the preparation. It's simple. It takes 3 minutes. Take 1 gallon of water. If your tap water is heavily chlorinated, let it sit in an open container overnight before making the mix. Chlorine dissipates in open air. What remains is water that won't suppress the soil biology you're building. Rainwater is better still if you'd have access to it. Add the 2 tablespoons of liquid seaweed extract. Stir. Dissolve the tablespoon of Epsom salts in a small cup of warm water separately. Add it to the gallon. Stir. Add 1 tablespoon of unsulfured blackstrap molasses. Stir. It takes a moment in cool water. Warming a small amount first helps it dissolve cleanly. Add 1 teaspoon of raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar. Stir. Add half a cup of cooled, unsalted vegetable cooking water if you have it. If you don't have it this week, the other 4 ingredients are sufficient. You add it when you have it. The mix is made. It doesn't store well once combined. The molasses begins to ferment, the seaweed breaks down. Make it fresh each time. Use it within 24 hours and discard any that remains.
The application matters as much as the ingredients. Don't pour this mix onto dry soil directly at the stem. Water your tomato plants with plain water first, just enough to dampen the soil through the root zone. Then pour the mix slowly in a ring around each plant, roughly 20 to 30 centimeters out from the stem. This is where the feeding roots are. This is where the active root tips are absorbing nutrients. Pouring at the stem base delivers the mix to the woody crown tissue rather than the feeding roots. That wastes most of it. For a seedling or young transplant just established, a small splash, perhaps a 1/4 cup per plant, once a week. For an established plant in a container, half a cup to a full cup, once a week. For a full-grown plant in the ground with an established root system, up to 2 cups, once a week during active growth. Reduce during fruit ripening. Continue watering normally between applications. This is a tonic, not a replacement for regular irrigation.
What you'll see over the following weeks, if you apply this consistently, happens in a reliable sequence. In the first week, the leaf color deepens. The pale or yellowish green shifts toward a richer, darker, more saturated green. The magnesium and mineral content reaches the chlorophyll-producing cells. This is visible. It's the first confirmation the mix is working. In the second and third weeks, stem thickness increases noticeably. New growth is more robust and more upright than what the plant was producing before. The inner nodes, the gaps between leaf junctions on the stem, become shorter and more compact. This means the plant is putting energy into structural growth rather than stretching toward light. In the third and fourth weeks, the flower hold improves. Flowers that would previously have dropped begin to stay on the stem, long enough to be pollinated and set fruit. Small green tomatoes appear where before there were only dropped buds. The soil itself, fed with molasses and seaweed over several weeks, becomes visibly more friable and darker. Earthworm activity increases in treated areas. Earthworms are drawn to the improved microbial environment. Their presence is one of the most reliable indicators of a genuinely improving soil ecosystem. And by the time the first fruit is sizing up, the plant will look different from any conventionally fed tomato you've grown before. Darker, thicker, more structured, with a canopy that supports steady growth rather than one that exists simply because the plant was kept alive.
There is no magic in this. Every ingredient has a specific documented role. The seaweed for stress hormones and soil structure, the Epsom salts for chlorophyll and immediate photosynthetic improvement, the molasses for soil biology and minerals, the apple cider vinegar for pH maintenance and microbial contribution, the vegetable water for a complete free mineral supplement, a supplement that most gardeners pour down the drain daily without realizing what they're throwing away. There is nothing in this mix that the industry profits from you using. These are ingredients you already own or can find for almost nothing. A full season supply of this tonic costs a fraction of a single bag of commercial tomato fertilizer. And unlike commercial fertilizer, it improves the soil with each application rather than depleting it. The tomato plant in your garden is capable of remarkable growth. It just needs the soil beneath it to wake up and do its job.
If this explainer helped you, please give it a like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more gardeners who are ready to stop buying what they already have at home. Subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Ask yourself, are you still trying to feed the plant, or are you finally ready to feed the soil? Leave a comment below telling me which state you're gardening in and what your tomatoes look like right now. Are they pale, dropping flowers, struggling to set fruit? Tell me specifically and I'll reply. I read every single one. Happy growing!